Hello, third violins. This is the discussion video for Hall of the Mountain King. The first thing that I want to talk about is pizzicato. There's a ton of it in this piece, and it's all too soft. All of it. Everybody is way too soft. This piece was, the dynamics for this piece were written with like a 50 or 80 or 100 piece orchestra in mind, not a 15 person high school orchestra. So you're playing a wonderful pianissimo, great soft dynamic, but I can't hear it because there's only like 2 or 3 people playing the part at any given time. So the pizzicatos just overall need to be louder. And we're going to talk about proper pizzicato technique that will make it sound better and make it easier to be louder. The first rule of pizzicato is your fingers do not go where your bow goes. So your bow lives in between the bridge and the fingerboard. This is where your bow goes. It is not where you pluck. Because if you pluck here, the oils in your fingers will react with the rosin dust and it will cake the rosin dust onto your strings forever. It's the same reason we don't want you to just wipe rosin dust off of your violin with your fingers, because the moisture, the oils will react with the rosin dust on your instrument and it'll just get caked on. It's like a cement crud. It's there forever until somebody professionally cleans it or buys new strings, which for these school instruments is highly unlikely. So to try to keep them in as good as condition as we can, you guys wipe it down with cloths instead of your hands. And then we're also not going to put our fingers here anymore. We don't pluck here. I will demonstrate on my instrument because these strings are like 7 years old and they were dead a long time ago. So I don't feel bad demonstrating on this instrument. It's not my main instrument. This is my backup violin. That's why I put tapes on it to help you guys have a visual cue of the fingerings that I talk about. So proper pizzicato technique will be placing your thumb on the corner of your fingerboard, just kind of resting it here so it's anchored, and then reaching over and plucking the strings way over the fingerboard. So this is a nice round pizzicato sound, and this is probably, you shouldn't play any softer than this. Alternatively, this is what it sounds like when you guys pluck over here. It's very twangy and gross, right? Compared to So I hope my microphone is picking up the difference in sound between these, where you pluck the string. Do try to brace your thumb as quickly as you can. I know in measure 9 you've got to play arco beforehand. That's why I'm changing all of these arco half notes to up bow. So this applies to the note that you have in measure 5 as well. It's just kind of defeating the purpose. It's just kind of dumb to go down bow and then have to circle all the way back around to pluck. So the reason that the editor went down bow is because it's forte piano. So he wanted you to get the dynamic. But as you get faster, that's going to be harder and harder to do. So you can still achieve forte piano by going up bow. Just start in the middle. Just, spike it and then release all of the weight in the bow to get the piano. And if you want to poke at the strings like a chicken, just be really accurate with it and make sure that you're still getting way out over the fingerboard to pluck. If you can, flip your bow in. Flip your bow with the hair facing you, so the frog is going to fold into the palm of your hand, and then you've got your thumb here. But a lot of people, many professionals, actually do kind of poke at the strings like a chicken and keep their bow grip handy. I'm not sure that you guys really, you've got a rest. You've got 1/4 note beat of rest in 26 to go from pizzicato to arco. So I think you've got time to make the switch. It's up to you. Whichever way you decide to do it, just make sure that the pizzicato are accurate, they're loud, they're over the fingerboard, and that they are the right notes. So, speaking of notes, measure 11, low 1, high 2. So B flat and F sharp. That's a crazy big stretch. B flat, all low first finger notes, live back here by the nut of your instrument. This piece up here with the grooves for your strings, this is the nut. So if your normal first finger is here on the tape, a low first finger is not somewhere slightly behind the tape. It's relatively far away. It's probably farther away than you think. So touching the nut just slightly is kind of a good baseline for finding where your low first finger is. But trust your ear. If that is a little too low, if your string is a little flat that day, then adjust. Go ahead and adjust. But a good baseline is that it's going to be closer to the nut than to your first finger tape for low 1. And then of course F sharp is all the way up here on your second finger tape. So the spread is pretty crazy there in measure 11. A few measures later, measure 14, you've got, this is where you start getting the eighth notes, the little theme. You got E natural, so it's a regular 1, F sharp, so it's high 2, third finger, regular G natural. I'd love it if you could use a fourth finger for the A, F sharp, A. Then we've got this crazy stretch again in 15, B flat, F sharp, B flat, A, F sharp, A. So, so that's kind of crazy. If you can't use your fourth finger for A, go ahead and use an open string. That's fine. I'll just make fun of you for flapping like a chicken doing all of these string crossings. Measure 21. So I'm looking at a score here because for some reason the final page of the third violin part didn't get copied in the PDF that Carney sent me. So I only had like the first 10 bars of your actual part. So now I'm reading off of the full score. Measure 21, low 2 on both strings. Oh, this is the little tick-tock that everybody else has been kind of passing around at the beginning. So 21, you've got B flat and F natural. Those two are low 2, so your second finger is way back here close to your first finger, and they're just right across each other on the G and D strings. Measure 24. Ooh, this is a tricky one. Measure 24 is a regular third finger, G, G. F natural is low 2 back here by the first finger tape, and then E flat. What? E flat is in the key signature, so make sure that if you are one of those people who writes letter names in your music, that you're always writing all of the musical information along with that letter that you write in your music. It's totally fine to be writing letter names. That's cool. Just, I don't want you to write E there and then play an E natural when it's actually supposed to be E flat. So make sure that you're always paying attention to what notes are altered by the key signature, and then any accidentals that are beside the notes within the music, and make sure that you're actually taking note of those alterations to the pitches when you're writing the note names in your part. So 24 is a little bit of a tricky bar. Don't let it throw you off. Measure 26. Keep up the good work. This has been going really well. Make sure you keep the half step interval tight between your fourth finger and your third finger, this D, C sharp interval. You may also use other fingers if if you have trouble playing a really crisp 4-3-4 the way that I do, you could just slide your hand up a little bit and play 3-2-3. Just make sure that any fingers that you use, you could even use 2-1-2. Make sure that they are close together and that it's always up here on the fourth finger tape. Whatever note that you are playing D with, this is the note D. It is on the fourth finger tape. Please, please, please do not try to use an open string for this, because again, you're trying to fly away. I'm going to make fun of you for looking like a chicken. Onwards, because everything else is stuff we've already talked about. Measure 42. Let her rip. It's loud. You finally got the theme. Everybody's playing the theme. You are flying. You're going fast. Just make sure that all of your second fingers are low. You've got B flats in here. You've got some F naturals in here. Also in measure 43, we talked about this in class, and when I demonstrated it, I think everybody was getting it, and it was improving. But just so that you can really see what's going on, in measure 43, you've got C sharp, A natural, C sharp. So 3-1-3 with a high 3, right? And then the second half of that bar is C natural, A flat, C natural. So check it out. It's just the same fingerings, the same intervals, but they're just moving down by a half step, right? 3-1-3, 3-1-3. It's a really quite a simple bar once you figure out that it is actually simple. So you've got that. Measure 46. Super loud. Your fortissimo here. DIV, if you haven't already talked about it in class, means to divide. So some people play the top line, some people play the bottom line. I don't care who plays which line, just that whoever plays whatever line, that everybody is playing the right notes. And you guys have some extra tricky notes here. And since you are doubled with the viola parts, this is just multiplying the room for error by having so many people playing so many tricky notes. So the first set of notes at 46, bottom line players are playing a G natural. Top line players are playing B flat, low 1. In the second note in measure 46, bottom line, you are now playing a low 1, B flat. Top line, you were playing a D, regular 3 up here. I hope I'm hitting the right stuff. Measure 47, the bottom line player, I would recommend playing this A with, sorry, I'm trying to find the D string. I recommend playing this A with a fourth finger so that you can play A flat with a third finger, high 3. This is like the only time I'm ever going to have you play this way. Or alternatively, if you don't feel comfortable using your fourth finger, you can play open A, but you're still going to have to, I would rather you use like a low 4 for A flat. You've got G coming up next. So that's a really tricky bottom line there. This chromatically descending by half steps thing. Top line, you were also going down by half step. You got C sharp, C natural, B flat. But your notes are a little easier to navigate. So this is another instance where it's really, really important that if you write alphabetical like note names in your part, that you're writing all of the information next to it and making sure that you're getting all of these crazy cool harmony changes. Measure 50 needs to be loud, precise, and in tune. Wow, like you don't already play loud, precise, and in tune, or haven't already been playing loud, precise, and in tune this whole time? I hope you have. Measure 50, just go for it, man. Make sure you're doing both of these down bow, that you're resetting to get really powerful strokes both times. You could even play both notes if you want to add even more sound to the group, because in measure 50, it's just a first finger E natural and an open G string. And then in measure 51, the double stop is just your open strings. So it's totally possible for you to play both notes if you'd like. You could even continue playing both notes in 52 and 53. This should be an octave, which I can't do holding my violin this way. But this should be an octave, and you can easily play both of these notes and then just throw an F sharp in there. Just make sure you don't hit the G string when you do that, because that's gross. We don't want that. So you can play all of the double stops here if you would like. Don't feel stressed. Don't feel pressured into doing it. In measure 60, make sure that you start this divisi. If you've been playing both notes beforehand, make sure you start measure 60 divisi, because it's a subito piano. It's a surprise, soft dynamic, and it'll really help you get soft if you are only playing one note at a time. So pick one, and then as you get louder through these 7 notes, add in the second note and use more bow until you just like fly off the string with this super really loud, gorgeous up bow. And make sure that you are playing E natural if you decide to play both notes. The last thing that I have to mention about Hall of the Mountain King is that these 2 bars of rest at the end, don't put your instrument down, do not relax, do not take your bow far away from the string, because 2 bars actually goes by quite quickly when you're going almost 200 beats per minute or faster. So stay up in playing position after you finish the note in measure 61, and you've got just 2 open strings here at the end. So I would love it if it's triple forte here. So in this rest, plant your bow, squish it down on these strings, squish it down, be really, really certain that you're going to hit both strings, but don't press too much, because then you'll get a gross sound, or you could distort the pitch of the strings. Set, press, pull for the last note. Watch Carney. She will be conducting you through it. She'll probably even give you like a big cue for the last note, because the low strings have the downbeat, and then all of the upper strings come in on beat 2. So make sure you're counting carefully. You've got those 2 bars to get your bow set, and you're going to play it in tempo, and you're not going to play late because you didn't put any part of your instrument down. You didn't relax. That's all I have for Hall of the Mountain King. The play along videos should be popping up right about now. I'm only doing 1 tempo of play along video for Hall of the Mountain King, and it's going to be a middle of the road tempo for the whole thing, and then I'll re-record from 42 to the end in the fast tempo, in the gold tempo that is around quarter note equals 190. I figured that's probably the best way to navigate this, because I could try to find a programmable metronome that will accelerate through the whole song, but that's going to be really difficult for me to stick with it, and then it's going to be even more difficult for you to play with me that's trying to play with this metronome that's constantly getting faster. So I think that the best thing to do is just to play it all at 1 tempo, and then you rely on Carney for leading you through the acceleration throughout the piece. So that being said, go play along with the other videos, especially the viola video, because it's basically the same part. Go play along with everybody else, see how your parts fit together. I will see you in the next video, and in the meantime, happy practicing.